Hello internet world, welcome to my day, and this video is coming out roughly 24 hours after the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference keynote took place. Now, I've already published my thoughts about the announcements. I actually was recording whilst the event was taking place and sort of recording my reactions as they happened. So when I hadn't had time to fully digest the complete keynote. And today I've had time to actually look at other people's reactions as well, including those of you that follow me on Twitter or tweet me your messages. And it's surprising actually, the emotions and the thoughts that what I've read online from you have conjured up. And it's not anyone in particular, but quite a lot of you I've seen have been doing the same sort of tweets and the same sort of messages. So I thought I would use today's video to address some of those messages and questions as well. Now, a trend that I've been seeing are people downloading the beta versions of both Mac OS X, the new version, and also iOS 8. Now, these are beta versions, people. They are not finished. They are not feature complete. They have got bugs and issues. They have not been tested on every combination of hardware. Thus the title, beta. So you are testing it. And I've seen so many people complain that this isn't working right. It's caused this issue on my MacBook Air or my MacBook Pro. This feature isn't working as they described. And what you've got to understand is, apart from it being incomplete software, it's available for developers to download. Now, this is going to sound like a little bit of a rant, but developers are people who develop applications, and they are registered with Apple as a developer. Developer being the key word. And if you've registered just for the sole purpose of downloading software before it's released and you run into problems, then I have no sympathy at all, because you shouldn't commit this to a machine that you're relying on for a start, and you should only be installing it if you're a developer. So that's my little mini rant over on that front. Another trend that I've been seeing on Twitter is a lot of people complaining that there were no hardware announcements. They didn't announce any new hardware. Where's the new Mac Mini? Where's the new MacBook Air with Retina display? Where's the iWatch? All of these particular products are rumours at the moment. And traditionally, not all the time, because Apple have launched hardware at the WWDC event before in prior years, but traditionally this particular event is the Worldwide Developers Conference. That word developers comes in again. And the key messages that they are covering are those of interest to people who develop apps. And that is Mac OS X as it stands now, and iOS 8, and the development kit or the SDK. That is what the event is all about. And the majority of the audience, apart from some journalists and key Apple employees, are developers. That word again, you're going to get bored of me saying it. But to expect hardware, and I used the word expect, you must take that into account. To expect hardware or to demand it is completely wrong. Now, before you put in the comments, but Dave, you really expected there to be a Retina MacBook Air. I didn't expect there to be one. I wanted there to be one. I really wished that they would do this one more thing announcement. And of course, I would be lying if I said I didn't want a Retina MacBook Air. I would love to have a MacBook Air with its thinness, lightness, portability, performance, and a beautiful Retina display. Of course I would. But I wasn't disappointed that it wasn't announced, because really and truthfully, I knew what the event was all about. So stop complaining that there was no hardware. And then there's one more thing that's come up, not by one person, but by quite a few people. In fact, I've probably counted on my timeline about 20, 25. saying that Tim Cook had a personal dig at them when he was saying about how many X number of thousand Google Android smartphone users switching to the iPhone and getting a life, or something along those lines. It was insinuating that they saw the light and switched back to the superior platform. Now, I'm not saying whether that was right or wrong, but he was right in stating facts about Google Android being a fragmented platform and how many users are actually still using old versions up to 4 years old of Google Android. He was right to say that. Was he right to have a dig and say about getting a life? Maybe not in hindsight, but there was a lot of humour within the keynotes, and I think he was right to say what he wanted. It's his opinion, or the company's opinion, and if he wants to add his own bit of humour in there, be it right or wrong, that is up to Tim Cook. So you shouldn't take it personally, because he wasn't really having a dig at individual people. He was having a dig at the Google Android platform, and rightly so. He's not going to praise it because it's competition. It's one of Apple's competitors. So why would he praise something when it didn't deserve in his eyes to have any praise at all? One thing that I would point out is when he was talking about enterprise and about all the applications that are available for the iPad, the first slide on there was Microsoft. So he gave sort of a nod to Microsoft for creating a great application for the iOS range of devices. So anyway, back on track. That's my sort of mini rant, or medium-sized rant actually, because it's probably taken up over half of this video. And I want to move on to my thoughts, sort of 24 hours later, about whether I'm satisfied with what they actually announced. Let's deal with Mac OS X first of all. The look of it, I mentioned this in my video yesterday. I'm not too keen on the styling of the icons. I do think they look very sort of candy coloured, and they look very similar to what we've been trying to get used to on iOS 7. But that said, I do like the fact that they've now got a cohesive design. So when you come from an iOS application and look at it on the desktop platform, it's got a very similar look and feel to it. So you're getting that continuity across devices, which I think is very, very nice indeed. I like the changes they've made to Spotlight. I think that was a really good move. I love the changes they've made to Safari, and the other features that they announced as well, even like the transparent overlays, really very, very nice indeed. It isn't a release that's been packed full of new features. They didn't like quote, in this version of OS X, we've got 100 or 200 new features. They didn't quote numbers this time, as far as I know. Instead, they've done this sort of refinement, a lot of refining within the OS, and they've also made it so that it works a lot more harmoniously with iOS. For example, the messaging, which I think was a real highlight feature, the fact that you can continue conversations from iOS device to desktop and even take calls on your desktop as well, I think is a brilliant, brilliant move. Moving on to iOS, I think the biggest news came when they were actually doing the developer discussion, the SDK discussion, and how they've opened up a lot of the APIs for Touch ID, the keyboard, and other things like that. I think that is a brilliant, brilliant move. For a long, long time now, the operating system on both platforms has been pretty closed. They haven't opened up many of these APIs, and I think they've made the right move by actually opening these things up to developers so that other applications can take full advantage of the technologies and the programming languages that they use. I think it's absolutely brilliant and definitely a move in the right direction. Now, I know I'm going to get the questions because I've already had a few of you ask, am I installing the new version of Mac OS X on any of my machines? Well, I'm not a developer. I have got access to it because I can sort of register as a developer and then download it, but I'm choosing not to. For desktop Mac OS X, I'm going to wait until the public beta release is out, and then I will install that. And I'll install that probably on my MacBook Pro. I won't install it on my Mac Pro. That is my production machine, so that will stay as it is until the final release later in the year. With iOS 8, I won't install that until, again, either a public beta is released, which I don't think they're doing with iOS, or until it actually comes out, because I rely on my iPhone 5S for so much of my daily workflow, and I don't want things going wrong with it, so I'd rather wait until it's actually released and it's a stable release. So I hope that answers your questions on that front. I could put it on a spare device, I suppose. I could put it on my iPad. Would it really make a difference to it? No, I'd rather wait until it was all sort of ironed out and everything worked absolutely fine, even though I'm really eager to get my hands on it. So anyway, that's it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts on the releases, or the detailed releases, of iOS 8 and the new Mac OS X, and just leave me some comments in the comment section. Hit that like button. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all again in tomorrow's video. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you'd like to watch another amazing video from me, please do click that top box. And if you want to subscribe to my geeky channel, click the red box on the bottom of your screen now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.